Hello there and welcome back to Inner Sanctum, the place where I showed you all of my tricks. I'll pull them off live right in front of you. And today we're coming back to Harrison Mixbus, and this is going to be probably one of the most advanced, not advanced in the sense of the technicalities that I'm going to be showing you today, but in the sense of the song being quite close to be finished. There are plenty of things that are still left to be done in this particular project, because of course this is part number 8 out of this particular session, and we have taken the track very much close enough for it to sound like a record, but we're gonna be fixing plenty of the slight minute problems that are still present in the mix. This could be, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case, but today could be potentially one of the first times that we actually begin adding automation to the track. But we are going to be discussing that once we hit the mixing stage. Isn't that truth, Theoregamini, who happens to be stunning and brave and from time to time beautiful of course?
Yes, as you all know. And hello, girls and boys, how's it going? Very glad to be back, and it's great to have you here as well. And yes, the track is actually quite advanced. There's still plenty to be addressed, but it's already sounding good. And I wonder what kind of results we're going to get out of today's section.
Yes. So, Robbie, good to have you here. So, let's begin. Going straight to Logic, to Harrison Mixbus. Here we go, from the very top.
the trail and cast aside the blackened veil. On the blackened veil, it blinds the day, steals the colors, fades the way. In its embrace, we lose our sight, dancing blind through endless nights. But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow's gale to tear apart the blackened veil. 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 The blackened veil.
What do you think?
Look, I think it was even mentioned last week as well. The track is already feeling good on the most part. There's a lot of the instrumentation that happens on the end of the track is introduced later, so a lot of that hasn't been fully addressed the same way as the beginning. So you feel the track feeling right up until a point, and then it starts to be not underwhelming, but it doesn't deliver on the very same way.
Yeah, it's
and I
not-
imagine that a lot of today is going to be dedicated to fixing
Yeah,
that.
it's not that vibey, if I put it in a particular way.
Yeah, because not bad sounding, because the track already sounding
the
good
foundation
throughout.
is there. The foundation is there, but it's not as in the same ballpark, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I also, of course, there are plenty of moves that have to be done. Particularly, you can show them the screen.
Yeah.
This midsection here, this area, has plenty of action, particularly on the vocals. There are still is still missing quite a lot of balancing. The different tracks feel a little bit, not necessarily speaking, right. Some of them are louder, some of them are quieter. That's of course part of what you're mentioning, because this section in particular hasn't been addressed, and its totality. But why is that? There is a reason for it. There is a strategy. The idea behind this is that, and this is my own take on mixing, but it has proved me to be very, very good, very efficient, so I recommend you to stick to that one as well. I like to first make sure that my mix is solid sounding. For example, the bass is controlled. The drums are very punchy. The vocals are cutting through. Some of the effects and the ambience are already kind of nailed. They affect the entirety of the mix, and those are the sounds are present in the entirety of the song. Once I got those under control and they are actually working the way I want them to work, that paves way for me to actually focus on the rest of the stuff. The stuff that is a little bit more that requires a little bit of a more detailed approach when it comes to the mixing, because for example, there are sections here. For example, this section here, the fighting of fighting, it's like a sample out of the movie, right? This is important in the sense of the lyrical content. I haven't touched it. I have probably not even look at this. No application, no form of a EQ compressor or anything. It's basically just the volume there, and still is not cutting through. It's the kind of stuff that today I will be addressing. Then we got plenty of different sections here, vocal wise. The vast majority of them, look at that. Nothing has been done to them. Why? Again, I worked first on the ones that are the important ones and the ones that I consider to be the driving forces behind the track. Again, because that way I can rest assured that whatever I do is going to be based. Let me address this a little bit more. Since those are the pillars of my track, those instruments, the rest of the sounds or part of the song, whenever they interact or they kick in, they are gonna be interacting around those other guys. Since I got them nailed already, whatever I do to the other guys is gonna be on the basis of what I did on the other guys first,
Yeah.
making them fit correctly.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's a strategy that I've been following for a good while now. It's basically what allowed me to make a career of this, and I can assure you that it works. You might have a different take on it, but the principle applies the same, because the idea is just to be sure that you understand the order of importance, or the Morris, if you want to go that way, when it comes to the importance of the different tracks that are part of your song. So I'm gonna be working most of this session around this area. I was even thinking on creating a loop, but I don't think so, because I already have my Mixbus session, and I strongly recommend you to do that. This button over here, if you click on that guy, the symbol underneath the square, not this guy, every time you press play, it's gonna take you back to the point in which you actually had your play hit. So it acts basically like a loop.
Yeah.
So I find that to be very good. So let's begin from here. Let's first address this no fighting thing. Is the sample. Look, first problem. I can see that I have the fader super high on this guy. Can you remove the chat, please? Thank you. You can see that it's very high. My fader is almost, I'm very much losing or missing out on headroom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crank up the trim a little bit more, so it is louder. That way I will recover a little bit of headroom here. Okay, it's a little bit louder, but it's not as loud as I would want it to be. This is already has a very nice fade in, which we produced. Well, we added while producing the track, which I think is working. But we need to make it super clear at the end. So I'm gonna insert a plugin here. I'm gonna look. I felt inclined to use the compressor here, but I think since I want to apply a copious amount of compression, I'm gonna go for something different. I'm gonna go for a clipper. So in this case, I'm gonna go for Creator. We're gonna go for Sonox, of course, and we're gonna be bringing the aptly named Inflator. There you got it in all its 2003 glory. UI. Yeah, the thing is that these guys have been around since forever. It's one of those big brands that have been producing plugins, and I happen to be a huge fan of them. Very good plugin. So let's apply the effect. How much? Like this.
Okay.
Why not? Let's see. Okay, see how much volume we got out of this guy? With no clipping. Why? Because this is clipping the limit stuff out of it without actually adding extra noise. So let's see. Now, let's see how it fares within the mix now that it's super loud. And I can push it even more, but we'll see later. Better, right?
Very good.
Way better.
It's actually now providing the context, that
Context.
we actually talked about, because now a little bit of context for the people who just came here.
Yes.
The song we've been working together here in the channel ever since the pre-production, and we had conversations about the concept and everything. And Robbie, he's with us now. He collaborated with the song, and he actually got this sample out of the movie
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut, which is something that came up in the production process.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the movie, or if you haven't heard of the movie, it's the last movie made by the fantastic director that is Stanley Kubrick. He happens to be one of my favorite directors ever, and a screenwriter, of course. And there are plenty. It's about a guy who gets interested in joining a particular club that happens to be kind of invested in doing or having parties of a particularly dubious nature, involving activities, adult activities, if I may say. And the funny thing is that Stanley Kubrick, and we're talking about the lead of his region. And Stanley Kubrick happened to die right before the premiere of the track of the movie, and also right after he showed it to the executives at Warner Brothers. What a coincidence!
Is there any relationship in between the two occurrences? I guess we'll never know.
We'll
for
never
sure.
know, or maybe we already know. It might have to deal with islands and certain people that we don't know. Maybe working with a particular government of a particular place in the Middle East. But I talk already too much.
Yeah,
So
I think we should leave it at that.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it PG, and also in accordance to what the Ministry of Truth wants me to say. Okay. Coming back to this, now that we got a much more clear thing going on with this, I can hear that it's kind of dry. Not a problem. This is not Nancy Pelosi we're talking about. So, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be applying a little bit, first and foremost, a little bit of low cut, because now that we made it louder, it's starting to add a little bit of rumbleness. So I'm gonna apply a little bit of that cut to clean up some of the extra rumbleness, but we gotta do it with care, because we could remove a little bit of some of the ambient sounds. Okay, so let's do it. Here we go. And here Robbie's saying that it kind of introduces the darker elements of the song. Now it's making a mark in the track. Of course, Robbie, yeah, the idea is to have that there. But now you see why I have to... I explained myself before beginning pushing faders, because now the song is already having... It's kind of formed. Everything we are going to do from here onwards, it's going to be actually now assembling the rest of the elements that are still loose, and turn them into something that pushes the track forward and actually take it to its final form. So let's begin. Low cut, also known as
high pass
filter. Which one is your your preferred?
I prefer low cut.
Me too. Makes more sense, right?
It makes no sense to say high pass, because you use in the reference what you're not affecting. Because you're not affecting the highs, but why would you have highs in the name?
The thing is that this comes from electric design, because when you're working on something like this, and it's not audio oriented, okay, but when you are working with electricity, there are filters involved, and they call them based on what goes through. That's where the high pass filter comes from. But in audio, it's the opposite, because what you do with this is not letting the highs go through. You're actually cutting out because that's what you do. That's the application. On filtering electricity and frequencies inside of an electronic circuit makes sense, because you're letting certain frequencies go through, and it's not exclusive to instruments, okay, or pedals or amplifiers. It actually comes from radio frequency, believe it or not.
Now we know.
I have a little of a background on engineering, by the way. Don't ask me why. Okay, here we go. It might involve a 3-layer edge now. Of course not. Allegedly. Here we go. Can you hear the problem? There is a particular frequency that I couldn't remove with the low cut. I'm going to play it back again.
Yeah, go.
There is a particular notch, low mids, I'm giving way too much information already. Could you hear it?
Yeah.
Tiago, explain.
Look, the
Because
way,
I gotta tell you.
yeah, no, the way it felt to me when you cut the frequency that you're talking about, don't know which one it is. Even though the bulk of the sound is actually kind of high pitched, we lost all of the substance. We lost the chatter that feeling that it was a conversation going on.
Exactly, because that's one of the reasons why, even though it's important to apply log cuts, if you do too much of it, you can kill off a good chunk of what makes a sound what it is, right? Because you're gonna you don't think of these because of just because this particular take or this particular sound has plenty of a high end due to the fact that we're dealing with the spoken word and particularly women speaking, and also you got the glasses and stuff moving around and clashing. Those sounds, most of the action is taking place in the higher register, but what makes them feel realistic, what makes them feel and sound the way they do, is the rest of the sound that are like the undertones.
And look, something interesting about this sound in particular is that when you start cutting the lows,
It's not that it becomes present, right?
the rumble, well, not the audio rumble, the rumble, the actual sum of sounds,
Yes,
is what makes it feel like there's a lot of people speaking.
exactly.
When you cut a lot of that, it feels like it's just a conversation between
Yeah.
two people.
Two people,
Yeah.
your people.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna press play again, and just for sake of this the didactic element of this live stream. Okay, pay attention to the sound. You'll see that what Tiago described. I think what Tiago said is a very good way to describe it. I'm gonna remove the low cut right now. I'm gonna press play, and then I'm gonna apply it somewhere around. I don't know. You'll see. You will hear it, and you will notice the issue that Tiago described. Now I think it's super clear, right?
Yeah.
Still, there is a problem there. I like the way it sounds somewhere. Let me just super big the jumping in between sections. Okay, there is a particular. I like the low cut somewhere here because it actually removed a little bit of the rumble without destroying the nature of the sound. But we still had to deal with that particular notch that is adding that particular nasal tone that is not good. I'm gonna go for the EQ, but you know what? This is probably the case for a particularly for a digital EQ, something a little bit more advanced. So I'm gonna keep the low cut here. It worked, but I'm gonna go for a split EQ. Why? Or even better, you know what? Let's go for the BX. BX digital. This guy. This monstrosity. Why? Because I will attack mid-side. Pal! Let me set it to mid-side. Where do you do this? This is super down tune. Is it mid-side? Yes. Okay. So here we go. First, what's the point of this? I'm going to increase the stir width slightly. Why? Because I want it to be like it's surround sound. Kind of, right? Then I'm gonna use the mids to cut off the notch that it's annoying the living stuff out of me. Why? Because it is in the center of the sound where the kick and the bass are actually living. If we remove that particular tone out of the center, there are chances that we will be able to get away without having to apply more EQ on the sides. Get me? Because we're carving the hole.
Yeah.
Let's do it. My guesstimate is that the problematic frequency might be somewhere around this area, this section here. It could be 200 something all the way down to 500, right? So we're gonna do the traditional hunt for the Red October. And one of the good things about this is that if I click on this, look, it's solos. You don't trust me? How dare you? Look.
That guy.
That was better, right?
Yeah, a lot better.
Now let's see if it works in the mix. Wasn't that great?
Very good.
Some may say the greatest. But no, it worked. It worked. Now I even feel inclined to push it a little bit harder in volume. So let's try it. I'm gonna press play again because now I feel that since the audio file or the sample itself is actually being audible at its fullest, and it's doing what it's meant to do, which is adding this sense of ambience, we could actually make it a little bit more audible. Because I'm going to take advantage of the fact that it already has the automation built in. Another thing that I'm going to do before I do that, I'm going to apply a little bit of what's her face sense. Let's send a little bit of it, and let me just put it somewhere differently. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much.
To the reverbs.
To the reverb, exactly, because this is kind of those moments in which you might not throw, probably throw, no fire, no fire.
Yeah.
Going like to the back, to the end. But even delay would be fantastic.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
Why not both?
Why not? No, but let's begin with the ambience because that's gonna be a matter of automation, and I will save those for later.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I'm gonna go for my room, and let's apply a little bit of it. How much? Like this.
This much.
This much. Let's see. I like it, but I think it's a little bit too much, right?
Yeah.
I went bananas.
Yeah, I think it actually killed a little bit of the definition, of it being a conversation.
But the ambience was good.
Damn, it was cool.
So let's do it again in a more conservative fashion. Way better, right?
Yeah, like
way better. But you know what? I like it when it was super wet at the beginning. What if we could add, for example, we could begin with this super high while the track is ramping up in volume and at the same time docking, making it drier.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, doing a throw, so we can hold the firing on a super long reverb. That's automation galore, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much and the tail is too long. Yeah, it is, but you see the point. Let's see if it works. I'm gonna try to do it like that again, just to see, but just see, because that could work. I think it's gonna work, but we gotta do it early on, because since the volume is kind of high, it's not high, but the volume ramps up dramatically later on. The plan is just to make it feel like it's further away from you by the use of the reverb, so you can hear the reverb only. Mm-hmm. And the closer you get, the drier it becomes. Get me? It's like a cinematic approach. Let's see if it works. Mixbus. Let me save this as an automation, just as a draft, because I actually liked it. So let's see, we're gonna go for latch. There we go. Is it latching? We'll see. Well, let me confirm. Layers, no. Where was it? Automation, thank you. Show all automations. Okay. Is it set to... Let me confirm because... active automation. Yes, it is. Good. Let's see. Nice. But I don't know if it actually registered the it didn't. Let's do it again. Here we go. Is that Mixbus synth? Mixbus synth. Let me make sure, man, because it's showing me everything that can be automated.
Which is basically
Basically, every knob on the here is. Oh, beautiful. It didn't do anything. Okay, let's. So what's the point? Let me see. No fighting. That's the one. Okay, so probably that it said something else to be automated. Let me just make sure. Sorry about this, guys. The manual. Nah. I'll set it back with here. So there is. Okay, we're going somewhere there, and I'm gonna set it back. Latch. Here we go. Based. I like it.
No, it is, yeah.
Now there is. Ish. Damn. Oh, damn. Okay, there is. Okay. Okay, yeah. So let me just remove this. Don't show. Hide all automation stick. There it is. Perfect. Done. Okay. Now, from here onwards, let's check the next one, because it's the spooky spoken word. Let's see, we got this guy. Sounds like this. Let me make sure. Yes, he's there.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow game.
Okay. We need to add definition first and foremost, because it's for one of the voices is heavily affected. It has plenty of vocoder, not vocoder, but it's pitched down, and the other one is whispers. So we need to find a way to make them be more audible. Once again, let's check the output, because I feel that the spoken word, for example, this track could be louder, and we can actually push it louder because we're gonna use the trim, right? That will allow me to have more. Wasn't to play, wasn't back to play. What do you think? What do you mean, Robbie? The sent automation play back to play. Let me check. Let's confirm because. No, the automation is working, Robbie. But it's a good call because just make sure. And I also click on the surface and send it back to read. Because on our DOS, and this is just another something that could be good for Mixbus to address. And even though this version is fantastic, of course, everything can be better, right? The thing is that I'm very used to use this particular surface on other DOS, for example, Luna or Logic or even Bitwig. Because when I set something for automation here, whatever I do is saved as an automation. It's reflected. In Mixbus, it seems that well, I had to go manually, right, and find the one that I needed. Whatever. Let's check the spoken word again. It sounds like this. Now that I crank up the volume, let's make sure that it is louder. Yeah, it is. Okay, this is clearly a candidate for plenty of spooky reverb, okay? So let's do it. I'm gonna get my reverbs again, my cents. And maybe let's take advantage of the chamber we're using on the vocals. Or something more, something crazier, man. Let's try the stage first. The stage is actually a very cool plugin that I got. I think I already showed you before. This guy, let me do it again. Let me check the stage. Where's stage? It's actually a very, very fantastic plugin made by it's Brainworks. Well, it's not Brainworks, but it's found on Plugin Alliance, and it's actually creating this psychoacoustic effect in which it adds motion and turns everything. It creates some form of quasi-fake room. It's not a reverb. It just creates this ambience, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's as you can see. Look, I'm even doing this thing with my hands because it actually is what it's doing. It's actually creating this slight modulation on the sound, which is being spread across the stereo spectrum, adding this sense of actual dimension. It's very, very, very cool sounding. And let's make it. Let's push the synth of this guy to the point in which we can start to hear the effect. Let's see. Spoken word, mind you. What do you think?
No, like it.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
I like it because it's actually adding this kind of inner voice thing in your head. Mm-hmm. Here, Robbie's saying, if you remember the suggestion that these two vocals morph together. Yeah, I do. I do remember that, Robbie. Starting with the cleaner vocal and then adding the darker overtones. Yes, yeah. That's why I'm working on this one first, because this is kind of the backbone. Is the one that I'm going to use as a reference. Because, look, even I dug down the volume of this guy, of the evil sounding voice. So, I think I like it. I don't know if I added too much. Let's play back again. Yes, now it's better, right? Mm-hmm. The first one felt a little bit abusive, a little bit too much. So I'm going to increase the output of. I'm going to increase the trim of the evil vocals because now they are not necessarily super present in the mix, and let's blend them in without automating right now because I want to see how it feels, right? Okay, I like it, but this is inspiring me. It could be nice to have the evil vocals kind of even feeling a little bit wider. Don't know if it makes sense. Like adding, putting it to the sides. Let's bring in big guns. Introducing the all-powerful Dr. MS. Pal!
That is a big gun indeed.
It is a big gun. By,
If only you can find it.
if only look. Shit. Please don't buy that many plugins, man. For real. No, do buy plugins, but get the good ones. You can copy my actual list. It's been created for eons. Okay, Dr. Mess. Some of you may be saying like, dude, that's too much. And my response to you would be, yes, I know. I don't care. No, look, we're going to be trying to use the scythe to increase the width of the evil vocals. I'm going to push them loud right now because it's just to set them, right? Because the idea is to use the evil vocals like something that is creeping in and adding this texture. Once again, this is kind of Stanley Kubrick inspired. Let's try to pay homage to the man.
So you're going artistic.
I'm going artistic today, okay? so yeah. So let's do it. How much? I usually, and probably you have seen me sticking to usually this particular amount of, spread whenever I work with a widener. Why? Don't know. No, for real, it's so, I always stop somewhere there because my ears tells me that if I start to go bananas, it becomes super fake, and actually my brain tells me, dude, you're ruining the monocompatibility of your track. Yes, indeed. Usually 135, 20, 40 is the sweet spot. So let's try like that. And let's see if it works. I'm going to solo the vocals first, and I'm going to push them a little bit louder so we can see the effect.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies.
How about that?
Yeah,
Cool, right?
like it.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Very, very good. So let's unsolo. Let's bring back the volume. And now let's add the evil to taste.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow gale to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
Nice. Nice. It's doing its job. But now let's make it even bigger. I'm going to apply distortion. Even more distortion to the evil vocals. Why? First, because I can. Secondly, because I want to see what love is. I want to know what love is. No, I want to see if I can make it even more intense. But first, let's apply a little bit of compression to the vocals. And maybe EQ. We will see. First, let's turn this bad boy on. Something like this. And if you're wondering how I'm doing it, I got a trackpad, okay? And actually, this is a very old-ass trackpad. This is the first trackpad produced by Apple, mind you, okay? And why am I sticking to this guy? I can actually swap the freaking batteries.
You can't anymore on new ones,
You
right?
can't. And I also got this bad boy, and this is a rant. Right now, I'm going to take advantage of this because this pisses me off. Yesterday, I ran out of battery, okay? So I have to charge it. The thing is this, the input is for the charger is not here, neither is here. You know where it is? Here. Try to use the freaking mouse. Here.
Such a dumb design
It's
idea.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's the most anti-Apple thing ever, and it pisses me off.
We saw.
Wherever. Okay. Run over. Let's go. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to play the compressor to the monster vocals so we can control them and make them feel a little bit more robust. And also, I will have to apply the Easter as well because it has a little bit of S action. What I did, many things. Compression. I didn't care that much about the amount of compression because as soon as I just press play, the compression was doing its job. The issue is that I didn't like that particular area of the low end of the vocals because it was kind of getting in the way. It was a bit muddy because it was making the sound of the monster vocals not as not audible, legible. What's the correct word for that one? Well, whatever, intelligible.
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Because it's very distorted. It has the vocal, well, the pitch, the drop in the pitch, and the effect itself. It's a good sound. The thing is that in the context of the mix, it was kind of difficult to understand the words. And yes, that applies. That comes from me mixing with raw vocals. Because even those, for as much as you might think that metal, that kind of extreme metal, the vocals shouldn't be understood, you're actually meant to understand them. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But wherever. No, but you truly have to try your best to make it intelligible, for real.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it kind of feels, the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
A whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow gale to tear apart the blackened veil.
Better, right? I applied a little of low cut as well on the monster vocals. In the mixing of argot is usually known as the Cookie Monster vocals. Yeah, actually. Now, I'm gonna go to the spoken word, the whispers, and I'm gonna use finally, Robbie, dynamic EQ. Okay, we're gonna be using dynamic EQ for this one because there is a little bit of I want to preserve basically the entirety of the performance, but I don't want to go berserk because most of it is working and I want to keep the integrity of the sound, right? But there are certain points in which I feel that certain phrases are a little kind of way too in your head, right? So let's go for it. I'm going to insert an EQ, the plugin, and it's going to be coming from Sonox. And this is coming from, where the hell is my Sonox?
You're kind of in a Sonox.
Yeah,
mood
give
today.
me a second because I have a Sonox. What's that? Jesus Christ, I don't know what I did. Whatever. I had a bunch. Mixbus. There it is. Okay, give me a second because the plugin is not loaded. Let me see where's my preferences. Thank you. We're gonna scan the plugin. Plugin. There is audio unit. Let me see. Let's check. I'm gonna go to the mixer and let me hide the EQs, clear it away. Just here. Plugin. Third plugin selector. Let's see. For Sonox. Look at that, it's not appearing here. Okay, Robbie, do you remember where can I bring the scanner, the plugin scanner? I can't remember where is it. Oh, shit. Preferences. Here it is, scan plugins. Oh shit.
That's bound to while.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Here is the plugin manager. That's the one I wanted to get. Let's see. Sonox. Let's see. Let's see if this does the job. Okay, let's see. We were working on what?
What sound?
Yeah, I was
Was
working
able
on
voice,
whisper,
right?
whisper. Is the spoken? No, fine here, spoken. Let's see. This should work, I guess. Let's see. No. Okay, wherever. We're gonna use a different one. The thing is that the one that I got and I like is very good. Let me see. You said that I missed it at the top where it says scan. Okay, that makes sense. Where was it? On properties, right? On the preferences. Yeah, the thing is that scans is gonna scan everything, and I just wanna go for on Logic, for example. I can just check for the library and scan the one or incorporate the ones that are not part of it. Okay, I'm gonna save that for next week. But you get the point. But we will use it because I do want to use that one, and my spider sense is telling me that that's the one to use for this one. But whatever. Let's move over to another section of the track. Because the scanning, if I go the traditional route, is gonna do the whole scan, man. And I don't like that. So, let's see. We were working on this spoken word.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies him.
This is a great candidate for another reverb. So let's do it. I already have the stage. Now let's add another reverb. This case, I would like something, maybe the chamber. Let's see. Again, copies and then dock it.
A whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, very good.
That was good, right? Okay, Rob, you're saying that scan for new? Let me check. Again. Preferences. There is scan. How can I scan for new?
Where's the plugin manager that you had open at a given point in time?
I don't,
I think it's there.
it should be somewhere here. The scan for new plugins on the start of application is already selected. Wherever. I'm gonna do that off stream because I don't wanna begin the scanning for everything because whenever I do that on Mixbus it takes around 10 minutes because of the stupid amount of plugins that I got. So yeah, the chamber was excellent, right? It worked. Awesome. Let's see how it fares over here in this section where the wording is more sparse. Nice. How about a little bit of reverb, of delay?
Yes.
Yes, Queen.
Yes, Queen.
Slay. Okay, let's use the stereo delay. Wait. Let me check what do I got. Because if I remember, one of my delays is I have one for vocals and it's the ultra verb.
That thing.
Yeah, and even though this is reverb, it actually has delays. Is delayed. You saw what I did there? No, that was terrible. No, it was actually an accent. No, it's a delay. It's a delayed reverb. Okay, so you get the delays, and then instead of being repetitions, it's actually triggering a reverb. So they are kind of in sequence, in series. Okay, I like it a lot. it allows for blending beautifully vocals in the mix, while adding a little bit of. Oh, do they? Did they? Look at that. They gave away a delay plugin. Speaking of which, I don't have it here. Bad. Okay, let's try this bad boy for now. And look at this. It decided not to load my Echo Boy. Ish. Well, we'll deal with that later because I don't think we're using it right now for anything. Let's go for that one. The Ultra Verb, and let's see if it works. Spoken once again, chamber. It was excellent. Now let's go for the V delay. What's him? Once again, stupid, and then we pretend to be intelligent. I like what it's doing, but it's not creating the repetitions. So let's go for something ridiculous because I wanna create like a vibey thing going on. So let's go for H3000. And let me check because my H3000 usually has just nothing. Because this is the kind of stuff that let's try something ridiculous. Delay filtered, yes. Or atmospheric, which one?
Atmospheric. Why not?
Lost in space.
Well,
Let's try. And let me make sure that the mix is fully wet. Mix. Yeah, expand.
it's not there.
It's somewhere
It's
here.
on top.
Where?
Left. Not on the extended version.
Oh yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, this is the issue with mixing, with doing this live. Okay. My brain is everywhere. Okay. Let's see if it works. I don't even know what it's gonna do. I kinda do, but it might be too much. Again, going banana.
Interesting.
Yeah, but interesting is the word you use when you don't know if you like it or you don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
So-
The thing is that I think it's too fast.
It's too fast. Let's try. Once again, let's go to the mixer. I'm gonna keep this guy open, okay? Let's change the tempo. So right now the delay is following. Let's see, moderate, decay. Let's see what do we got on the soft keys. So it's the only thing we got. So I'm gonna decrease the decay, and maybe the meter would be better. Delay 1. Time. The delay 2. Somewhere there. Let's see. The first one was excellent. The second one I pushed it too much. Okay, that's what happens. This was very much an Icarus moment. I went too close to the sun. Let's do it again. So good.
Nice.
It's very good, right?
Yep.
Because it's just adding ambience, texture, personality to the sound. Now the big question is this. Would it work, or will it work over here, where the voice is much more active?
Probably.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow gale, to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
have mixed feelings about it. What do you think?
I think it was a bit too much on the section where there was things being said.
The busier one.
Yeah, the busier section. But I love what he's doing to the kind
Black
of a
and
more
Veil, right?
spaced out black and veil.
Yeah,
things.
I'm gonna do once again another tryout for an automation. I'm gonna begin super slim. Let's see, something like this, very tiny amount of the effect, and then I'm gonna push a little bit more. And by the way, we're actually using it as a parallel sound, okay?
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow game to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
Okay, first thing, I decided that I will take this guy and turn it into a pre-fader. Why? A pre-fader will allow me to actually set the amount of repetitions without being affected by the passages that I will later do on automation to make the entirety of that section, the spoken word section, to be fully audible. I have to write it a little bit, not that much, because it's kind of very, very concise. But still, I will have to do it. And if I do that, while keeping this guy as a post-fader effect, every time that I push the fader slightly higher, or the output of this sound, this particular track, louder, we're going to be adding more effect into the mix.
Yeah.
And since the effect is very wacky, but it's actually very good, it's actually adding plenty of texture, if we overdo it, it becomes very kind of amateurish. Being very honest, and it's cluttering the mix. Here we'll be saying, leave it like that. Yes, I took it back somewhere to the minus 20 something. It was like somewhere here, I think. I will try it again.
Minus 27 if I'm not mistaken.
If you're, yeah, I think you're correct. It's somewhere there, 27, 24. And if you dog the delay sound, it will be awesome. Yeah, something like that. It's what I got in mind, man. Because the idea is just to keep it like there, and then let it ramp up by its own. I might try a different plugin for that very effect. There is yet another delay circuit that I could use on this one, because I'm looking at this filtered effect, because just so that I didn't even bother with syncing it to the tempo. I did it just by guesstimate, because the idea is just to create this ambience. Okay, it's adding these. Ooh, is here an evil? I'm trying to do the shining. Okay. Yeah, let's see.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow game to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
You see, it's just doing that. Let's do it again.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings.
There it is. But even though I like it, there is a little bit of a build-up of low end that is annoying me. So I'm gonna take a look at my channel strip where I have this guy inserted, and I'm gonna apply, of course, you guessed it, high pass filter. Okay, let's do it. Dynamics. Oh shit. Sorry. So, there is the 3000, and give me the dynamic series. Let's do it. Taste.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow game to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
Could you hear the difference?
Yeah, it's cleaner.
But also I pushed a little bit the mid lows on the effect. Why or how does this works? I am using the EQ on my channel strip, as you can see, is following this order. I'm going to remove this visual. We are coming in, the send of the effect or the input of the effect send is coming in, goes through the EQ, and then that output, the output of the EQ fits the H3000 plugin. So that means that even though I am actually sending a copy of my whispers already processed at whatever stage I got them, because I haven't done anything on them other than balancing, you'll see that this allows me to push independent frequencies on the effect, making the effect react differently based on the program being fed to it. And in this case, I am using this to make the sound of my vocal take feel a bit more low-ending, even though it's no low-end driven. And I'm doing it on the sides because I'm applying that extra bulk of heaviness on the effect rather than the dry signal.
Okay, cool.
Make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I hope it does, because this is kind of a high-end technique. Now, it worked. I like it. Let's see if we can push it a little bit harder now. Where on the name in the... Let's go to mixer. This is kind of stupid. Where is it? Spoken. Here it's perfect. Let's see. I'm going to send a little bit more of my H3000 to my X3000. Very good.
Yep.
Now let's add a little bit of air. For this, I'm going to be using the high band. And let's see. EQ. Thank you very much. So let's see. High band. Rock. Yes, it's visible to you. I don't know. Let me push to the side. There is side. There is full on visible. Okay. Let's do it. Even the effect is more present.
Yeah.
But it's not in your face. Let's do it again, because now I could even play around with my fader. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I feel you brought it a little bit too low, no? The output of that one.
Let's see. Let's set it tomorrow. Here's the big one. Remember that this voice is actually playing alongside the evil one. And right now my evil one is not that audible. It's very low in volume. Let's see if I can push it a little bit more. I'm going to push the evil voice a little bit harder. Of course, the idea is for the evil one to creep in little by little, right? But how much is too much? Because it has to reach a point in which it becomes kind of audible. And the idea is to have this kind of interaction. One is taking over the other. So let's see, because the spoken word, I assume that is kind of the mysterious, kind of thriller-like section of the movie. And the evil voice is the horror part of the movie.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? So the spoken has to be not in your face, but loud enough for it to be like something is not right. While the evil takes over little by little.
Is the plan to replace the spoken with the evil, or just to add to it?
It could be. I'm not ruling it out. I don't know yet. Why? Because I will like to work on the other sections of the song first before I make such an important decision. Because even though we're dealing with a very tiny portion of the track, this is the kind of stuff that makes or break a record. Because this is sticking to a particular narrative. Remember that music, even though is well, not music in general is with every single form of art, there is some form of story involved with everything we do as musicians, right? The song itself is presenting an idea, and or it's presenting a moment, or it's presenting a feeling, and all of those in our human brains have to follow Aristotelic logic and reason. Otherwise, they would be illogical and stupid. Make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Allegedly. Okay, no. What I mean with this is that there has to be some order in everything we do, because that order allows for the story, the message of the intent of the song to actually hit home.
Translate.
Yes, translate and be understood by your audience. So these kind of tricks is the kind of stuff that you got to do with extreme care, because if I go super evil, we can change the way the song is perceived by the audience. Or if I go super whispery, it will completely give a different take. Got me?
Yep.
And it's not that it's the kind of stuff that is open for interpretation. No, this is the kind of stuff that is actually setting the mood. Here Rob is saying, for me, the spoken word needs to be higher than the synth sounding vocal effect. That was in the Bitwig. That was in the Bitwig original. Yeah, I'm sticking to that actually, because that's kind of the groundwork, not the groundwork, the original blueprint, and the song was produced with that in mind. I'm just simply open to the possibility of adding a different switch, but maybe probably the last phrase, for example, could be the one that is taken over by the evil voice. But it could change the way the song feels later on. We will see. Right now, I'm going to try to see if by pushing the evil one a little bit harder, or pretending, or kind of enacting the automation, we get a different sensation. Let's see.
But in the dark, a whisper sings of broken chains and mended wings. A spark defies the shadow game to tear apart the blackened veil. Blackened veil.
That could work. I swap positions for the very last phrase. I made the evil sounding voice a little bit louder than the spoken. But this gives me the idea, maybe having a little bit of reverb at the end of delay, but a cleaner delay, like a digital delay, repeating the last phrase, the blackened veil, but on the evil vocals. Get me?
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, here Robbie is suggesting maybe the last two blackened veil expressions can become more evil. Yeah, look, it's basically what I did with this one, because the darkness of the evil has not yet taken over the spoken word. Yeah, it never does, but it kind of starts to be a very important force in the song, narratively speaking. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this here, but it's already kind of somewhere, because again, this is the moment of very much plenty of automation. Now let's see, final section of this exercise, of today's exercise. Let's take a look at this part over here, where right after the singing vocals, we got this section here, on which plenty more vocals are part of the song. These vocals in particular are called reversed, dirt, and vocals on both sides of the stairs.
As I dim, their stories pale, lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil.
Okay, this is kind of like a choir kind of affair. I'm even thinking on creating a boss for these guys, routing them into a bus and summing them up as a stereo pair. Controlling them all together as a choir rather than independent takes, because they only happen there and they are kind of very much supportive of each other. Let's listen to them.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
Yeah, let's try that out. So let's do this. I'm gonna select them all, and I'm gonna add. I'll go all the way down here. I'll create a new. I'm gonna create a new bus. Gonna be stereo. Thank you. Yes. Position now. After before selection. Look at that, beautiful. And close. Thank you. Ah, where is it? There.
I think it's the very last one.
No, there
I
is.
don't know.
Perfect. And Mixbus. That's how you do it. Okay, so this is gonna be a background vocals. No, that's not background vocals. It's group G vocals. There is capitals. G box. Wherever it's in, wherever that language is. Okay, so if everything goes according to the plan, now what I gotta do is send these MFers, new send, and it's gonna be sent to Gboss, and I'm gonna send it all the way to the top. Whatever. There it is. Okay, look at that. And I'm gonna copy. And post fader, because now by doing that, I will control how much of it goes to the boss. Okay? And from here, the only thing left to be done is also checking my outputs, which are on the sense, and I'm gonna turn that guy off. It's not going to music bus. It's the one that is going to music bus is actually my synth over here, and my bus over here. And if everything goes according to the plan, oh yeah, we gotta turn this off. Of course. Good. Now, let's take a look at these bad boys as individuals first, because this is not a communist mix. We're gonna look, we still respect the individuality of each of these voices, because every voice has the chance to be heard. Okay.
Damn.
Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna be applying, of course, a little bit of low cut to each of them, just to remove a little bit of the rumble. So let's listen to this guy first by his own.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
You might be saying that's too much, Paul. No, it is not, because this is a bunch of voices together. Let's do it again, but now with this one.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
Good. Let's try the next one.
Lost behind the blackened veil. Lost behind the blackened veil.
I kind of like that one. Let's see.
Blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil. We're lost behind the blackened veil.
Way better, right?
Yeah, a lot cleaner.
Way cleaner. Now, let's go back to our mixer. I'm from here. Now I'm gonna go to my bus, and this bad boy, I'm gonna apply compression. What kind of compression? G-Boss compression, that kind of compression. Let's go for it. So, creator, SSL. And how dare you to use SSL on a Mixbus, on a Harrison Mixbus mixer?
That's heresy.
No, it's because both of them are now the same company. That's why.
So not heresy anymore.
No, not Harrison anymore. They're brothers. Incestuous, maybe, but brothers. Okay. Okay, let's use this bad boy because I want to use my Surface. I haven't used it. So I'm going to put it there. And since we're not poor, we're going to go full on oversampling, okay? And let's play around with it.
Good.
Very good, right?
Very good. Yeah.
Like this. Why? Well, because I use this bad boy basically every day. So I know what it does. But let me explain briefly, simply. Yeah, it is a fantastic bus compressor, man. This guy is excellent. If you don't own the Surface, you can buy it as well. And it's going to give you the same results without the fun. And with that fun, you don't get results. Okay, so now you see the problem. No, but in reality, it's a very good compressor. I'm a huge fan of the brand, you know it. And the reason why is because it simply works. It's no frills, no thrills, it's just straight to the point, no BS allowed. And what I did is just find the sweet spot for a threshold, compensate the loss of volume out with the makeup gain. I make the attack faster because I want to clamp on the jumps and the differences between the voices, and ratio very gentle because I did just to keep it kind of steady. Now with this, let's add a little bit of dimension D, because that's another trick that this is also basically like if you're dealing with choirs and such, dimension D. If you don't do it, where are you? Exactly.
The rest is implied.
The rest imply. Okay, like that. Okay, so let's do it. So let's play around with this. And what's the dimension D, you might be asking? Once again, where are you? Dimension D is the tried and true, fantastic, beautiful. Where the hell is my dimension D? Okay, here it is. Is the recreation of the dimension D by Roland Corporation back in the 80s, and this is made by the fine people at Universal Audio. Very good recreation. Probably my favorite out of the bunch. And let's try that out. But also, you could use Soundtoys micro pitch, which is a weird mix between that guy and the micro pitch. It has its own flavor. I like it a lot as well. So let's try it out. I'm gonna do the tried and true. Let's go bananas and then repent for our sins.
We lost behind a black veil. We lost behind a black veil. We lost behind a black veil. We lost behind a black veil.
Very good. Cool. Now it feels a little bit cardboardy. Why? Because we need to cue the limit stuff out of this guy. So I'm going to put the EQ right after the... No, you know what? We're going to keep the EQ on top because we're using it to clean it up. So I'm going to have to apply an EQ after the compressor. So let's go for it. What kind of EQ? This is a moment in which I split EQ. Let's go fancy. No. Let's go for Sonox. Sonox EQ. Oxford EQ. Why? Because once again, I'm feeling retro today. And don't let this horrid old as balls design fool you. This is a very good EQ, and Sonox is a very good brand, okay? So, what makes this guy important or interesting? Well, it has 4 EQs in one. It does, and it changes dramatically. So, let's try, if I recall correctly, shape 4 is the, type 4 is the one that actually changes the Q based on how much you talk or apply the band, okay? So let's apply first a little bit of low cut, thank you. Something like this, very gentle because we already applied a little bit of it. And this is just to clean up a little bit of the mud created by the compression. And then You were saying two of those vocals have been recorded left and right mono. Yes, they are actually hard panned already, Robbie. Let's see. I'm gonna then maybe boost. We're gonna cut a little bit of the frequencies, the mid lows first. Where maybe somewhere here. Here we go.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
Okay, let's turn it on. Sorry.
That helps.
That helps. Again, the distraction of doing this live. Okay. Let's see. I think we got a problem somewhere there. So let's see. Narrow it down. Here we go.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
That's smooth. Could you hear the difference?
Yeah.
Let's see how it feels in the mix.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
Getting somewhere, right?
Yep.
We're lost behind a blackened veil.
Man, that's great.
Those added highs helped quite a lot.
Oof. I feel inclined even to push them a little bit harder.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
We gotta be careful because I don't want to add that cardboard kind of sound. So I'm gonna go for my lows here. And maybe boost a little bit this section over here. It might overlap a little bit with this, but again, this is changing the curvature of the entire equalizer. It's not that those are not working independently, okay? Those are working in tandem and you're creating a new shape for the sound. Let's see.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
I like it, but I'm feeling that I could do something different with the mix of... I'm gonna blend differently the sounds of the vocals, okay? Because I'm gonna use this mix, or the EQ and the compressor, as a way to shape up the entirety of the thing, of this mix. And I would personally I would use only effects on the dirt vocal, maybe. Yeah, but once I get this set in a stone, because that's one of the reasons why I decided to use the bus rather than mixing them independently, because that way I can keep a raw take of each of the sounds for effects, because I could even add effects independently.
Mm-hmm.
Way better, right?
Yep.
Let's do it again. Yes, I like it. So let's add a little bit of reverb to it because it's a little bit too dry. I'm gonna add a reverb to the stuff, to the entirety of the bus, because it has to feel that they belong as part of the mix. I think the mention did has added a slight confusion, adding to all of the three vocals. It's just to make it feel more robust. I'm still not fully sold to it because I might switch it for my micro pitch rather than the mention D. Let's see. First, let me apply the chamber. We're
blackened veil. We're lost behind a 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 blackened veil.
Way better. Now let's see, let's address the dimension D. Right now it's off.
We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil. We're lost behind a blackened veil.
That's it. It was too loud. It was too much of dimension D. Let's see how it feels now in the mix. I'm gonna go back a few bars. Maybe somewhere here, right at the beginning of the singing vocals.
Beneath the sky, where the shadows creep, a whispered curse, where secrets sleep. The moon is closed, it's like defiled. The blackened veil consumes the wild. Through the hollow winds, the echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim, their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're 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 lost behind the blackened veil.
Like it. It's not fully there yet because I might apply a little of upwards compression, not upwards compression, kind of like a parallel compression to this guy, to the vocals, because I am close enough for them to clip on my channel, but also they could be a little bit louder. I like the sound of them now. They feel like a very like a harmonically pleasing singing choir, but they are not as present in the mix. The chamber is doing wonders to it. It's very beautiful, and I love the EQ on it. It actually worked. I'm gonna save this version of the track, and we're starting to run out of scenes, man. Okay, this is gonna be the good one. There is perfect. So let's rock and roll from the top, analyze and mix and compare it with what we did at the beginning, with what we started with. Here we go.
sleep. The moon is closed, it's like defiled. The blackened veil consumes the wild. Through the hollow winds, the echoes call. A fragile world begins to fall. The stars are dim, their stories pale. Lost behind the blackened veil. We're 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 lost behind the blackened veil.
Okay, there is no point on continuing with the track because the difference between the starting point and this is basically on the vocals. One thing, Robbie was right. For whatever reason, the freaking automation is not present in the mix. Why? We double checked it.
You even played the back once.
Yeah,
and, it
and
was,
we saw the move, and you can even go back in time, and you can see that the thing was moving.
Yeah.
Now that I played it back, the automation is gone. So wherever, again, one of those things that Mixbus is kind of difficult not to love, right? So whatever, I'm gonna deal with that. There it is. The hell. Can you explain that to me?
No.
Wherever. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Look, it is here. It was super loud when we were playing back. Yeah, it says latch, but that shouldn't be a problem. When it says latch, it's expecting me to do more moves.
It apparently should be play.
Well, that's wrong. It is because every other DAW, and even on a mixing desk, when you have it on read or latch, regardless if there's automation, the automation is going to be read. The only difference is that when you have it on latch or touch, when automating, when the playback is moving, if you have it on read, whatever you do is not going to be reading as an automation pass. And as soon as you press play again, it's going to be brought back to wherever the automation or the automation line is. When you have it on latch, whatever you do on your moves, while the track is playing, it's going to be applied to the automation and it's going to leave the automation wherever the last position of wherever you moved was. When you have it on touch, if you move it and then you release it, it's going to be brought back. It's going to keep the automation, but it's going to bring back the ending point to the point on which it began. The one you use, for example, for writing vocals. Why did that happen? And also, you saw how I fix it? 3 times Command C. Meaning that it deleted. Let's see. I'm going to keep it on latch because I'm hungry. It's time for lunch. And it might be the reason why I'm starting to get grumpy. But let's see. If this thing moves, which it will, what's going on, Mixbus? That was a bug. It is a bug. I want to believe. Because for whatever reason, you saw it's on latch. It's on latch. They did exactly what I said. And it's not because I'm Don Corleone. No, it's because that's how they work. That's how it works. But whatever. We actually did plenty of good moves today. Thankfully, we saved that guy. I'm going to save the freaking project because I don't want this to be another annoyance. But it is working now. Yes.
I think you need to save the scene again. Because I think when you saved it, you didn't have this.
It might be the scene, now that you mention it. I'm going to... But it was... Okay, let's do it. Store. Save. Yes. Let's see. Is it still present? Yeah, it is. Now let's do the switcheroo. Groove. Grove. Still there.
Why?
Do I have to give you my professional assessment? No, okay, it's working. What matters is that it's working, okay? So, what we learned today? Yeah.
The Mixbus has an issue with automation passes.
It's kind of temperamental.
No, but I think the improvement over the some of those spoken voices and the evil one and stuff, they are very even though they are details when it comes to the grander scope of the song, they make a very big difference.
Yeah.
And they already made the song feel a lot better and a lot closer to what it's supposed to feel like as the end result.
Exactly. Yeah, and I will put even more stress on what I said at the beginning of this live stream. It's very important for you to have a good foundation, having the actual core of the sound of the music you're working on, sounding the way you are aiming for, so you can be confident on all of your moves. This is a matter of patience, because I learned the hard way that, for example, let's say you're mixing a very badass instrumental guitar, a very badass rock track with an amazing guitar solo. If you go for a solo first, you're gonna have a hard time finding a sweet spot for the solo because you don't have a proper vibe going on. The issue that comes with it is not that you're not gonna be able to do it. You're gonna repeat yourself very often, and that exposes you to more playbacks. And each playback, you gotta look at it as you are losing perception of what the song actually should go for, or should sound like at the end. So every time I press play, I even kind of have an amount of times on which I press play before I stop, because I have learned the way my hearing works, in which if I do, let's say I'm gonna put a random number, because in reality I don't know exactly how many, but I know when I start to be very blind to what I'm doing. Let's say that it's after 10 times that I press play, I lose track. So what I do is, as soon as I do that, no more. Let's have a walk and a good look in the mirror. Because at that point you start to do plenty of stupid moves that are only ruining your mix. So it's important to have a strategy to follow, and I would like to share that with you, this particular strategy. First, get a good foundation. Make sure that the sound of the core of the music is already sounding similar to what the end result is in your head. So that way, wherever you do with some of the more esoteric, or in this case, you saw that the changes between the takes were minimal because we actually worked on very specific sound bites of the track. And those will be now worked on with the confidence that the music, the stuff, the basics of the song is already set in stone, and you don't have to worry about it. Make sense? Here Rob is saying, you can set automation to become automatic as soon as you click into the field you want to automate. It will create an automation sequence. Yeah, that's basically what it is. All of the automation circuit works, right? If I recall correctly. If I understood what you were saying here, Robbie. Because maybe it's because I'm very, very used to the workflow with a surface. I have here the control over the automation. Depending on which channel I have selected, for example, on the box channel, if I go for read, you saw that it changed. But that's a problem. Why? Let me show you. It shouldn't change. Automation show existing automations. There is none. Of course, there isn't. But show all automations. There they are. The first one that changed is the fader move. It went through Unity. It shouldn't. If I go off, it doesn't do it and anything. Not good. I don't like that because it already changed the gain structure of my output by turning on the read. If it was read, with this now in my being in read mode, in other DOS would mean that any form of push I do and I press play again, it's gonna be forced back to that point. It shouldn't. And let's look for volume. The thing is that it didn't do anything. There is no automation yet, because if I close this and I ask for existing automation passages to be shown, nothing changes. Why? Because there's none. It might be a bug, being very frank, because me neither, man. I hate it because it's just a mess. It shows you every freaking possibility. The thing is that in this case, as soon as I press read here on the automation button, the volume, the output of the fader went all the way to 0. It's now at unity. It wasn't. It was like this. Somewhere here. allegedly, but wherever, we will see. Not that big of a jump anyway. So whatever. It's one of those things that, yeah, it's a bug. I look at this as a bug because you have seen me working on Mixbus before, and also my send to box up is now insane. The hell happened? Wherever we're gonna work, I'm gonna work on it before next week, so we can start off correctly. Because look at this shit. I never do.
It's all the way up.
It's all the way. It wasn't.
No.
If I press play, it's gonna be. Something is going on with. Probably it could be a bug between this and Mixbus. We will see. I'm gonna actually send an email to these guys just to see what's going on, because now that they are partner companies, whatever. But whatever. It's sounding good. It's working, and I hope that you got the moral of the story, which is never let anybody tell you what to dream about. And remember that we'll see you when we see you.